Good morning, or good night, or... I'm saying good morning because I just woke up about an hour ago. I was taking a nap. I took a nap and I completely overslept. I woke up and it was like 9:10 or something, like 9:30, I think. And I was like, whoa. So, it is August 11th, and 2012. And I'm Kelly Hawkins. Thank you for listening. Okay, I was like thinking we can do some more Mae Brussell. Uh, Found a really good topic, one of my favorite topics, how Jonestown was a CIA mind control experiment. And so I think we'll listen to that. It's a three-part thing, so I think it's 3 hours. I was able to find the first part and the third part, and I didn't hunt around too much to find the second part, but I'm sure Conspiracy Scope uploaded it. I'll just have to find it. Alright, so let's start listening to it, and then we can learn from it and disagree with it in certain parts and see how it goes. See what she says. Like I said, I'm overall a fan. I don't like her anti Christian things, but overall I'm a fan.
Good evening.
Let me turn this
Mae
up.
Brussell, Carmel, California. This is tape number 365A, and it's December the 1st, 1978. This may be kind of a rambling tape for you because it's really hard for me to put my feelings together. I'm kind of punchy. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow since the shootings took place down in Guyana. And for those of you that live in California, I don't have to describe the media barrage that we've had on television and radio constantly. Usually I stick with news over the printed word. I'm going to be talking about the killing of Congressman Ryan and the people down in Guyana and the People's Temple, and then the culmination of the murder of Mayor Moscone in San Francisco and a member of the Board of Supervisors there, Mr. Harvey Milk. All of this came down within a short period of time, and I'm going to try and make some sense out of it if I can for you and for myself. I've worked hard on it the last 2 weeks, and I think I can give you an overall summary view of what I see. And then in the next few weeks, I'll give you the specifics to fill in the picture. I'll give you the outline now of the way I've broken down in Guyana.
Yeah, this is kind of hard to listen to. Just because I like wanted to get it into the meat, you know? I want to like hear what she has to say, and I'm like, she's just talking about blah blah blah, and it's interesting, but still, I was like, get to it. I don't know, I got some antsy tonight, but it's nice that she's putting it all in time frame for us.
San Francisco mess. And then you can follow that outline if you have the patience or are so inclined, and then read the news that came out preceding or in the future and see it along the framework that I'm seeing it. It didn't surprise me that the next stage after the Zodiac killings in California and the zebra killings and the SLA and the Strangler and the Manson family massacres and all of these other bloody California syndromes that I've talked about for so long, it didn't surprise me that out of that racism, out of that counterintelligence operation and the meanness of the powers that be that run our state and federal offices, that such a thing can happen, and it's happened in Guyana. But it didn't surprise me, but I don't like to say I told you so, and I don't want to say how bad the future is going to be. But I still feel pretty sick about this. And if you get Newsweek and Time this week and People magazine, I think that one picture is worth 1,000 words, and you should get these and look at them and take whatever information you can out of them. remember what happened here. Not only did this massacre take place down in Guyana, but what followed was the most intense racism, the way it was handled, and the collusion of the federal government. And those are the things that we'll go into for the next few weeks.
Oh no, my cat stepped on
Of
my
the
mouse.
relationship I see of this event down there to my past research on just and the FLA and, as I say, the California violences. Of course, one common denominator through all of this, going from the Kennedy assassination right up to what Time Newsweek has on the cover, the cult of death, is Mark Lane. He's prominent at both ends of the spectrum. He was right there in Dallas with Marina Oswald as soon as John Kennedy was killed, and he was out there hanging in a tree or in a swamp at the time that these people died down in Guyana. And next week on the tape, I think for those of you that don't live in California and didn't hear it, I'll reproduce his press conference, the one he had in San Francisco a month ago, what he said about the People's Temple, and then his interview when he came home from Guyana. He had a press conference Wednesday, October the 4th, 1978, in San Francisco, in which he said Jim Jones and the People's Temple was being harassed. The headline there was People's Temple Colony Harassed, and that he said he was satisfied that the concentration camp charges against Jonestown
Ah, why is my cat pausing the show for us?
were false, and he thought that people had been misused to make these remarks. He declined to name the agent that he had talked to, but he hinted because Jim Jones had been harassed that he was going to file this large multi-million-dollar lawsuit in 90 days, and he was going to name as defendants the FBI, the CIA, the Department of State, the Internal Revenue Service, the Treasury Department, the Postal Service, because he said there's a conspiracy against 1,200 people, 1,200 American expatriates. It's an embarrassment to the government because of its tremendous success down there. And he said that it was a beautiful place to live. The People's Temple also got out a newsletter which they mailed to me October 21st, 1978. Mark Lane said, in quotes, "I've been deeply impressed with what I've seen there at Jonestown. It makes me almost weep to see such an incredible experience with such vast potential for the human spirit and soul of this country to be cruelly assaulted by our intelligence agents." And then Charles Gary, the attorney for People's Temple, said he went to Jonestown, and he enthusiastically refers to that as a community where racism, sexism, and ageism have been overcome as a new social order, an answer to a better life. And Don Freed, they're quite a trio, Don Freed, Charles Gary, and Mark Lane. I've known them quite a few years, Mark the longest. Don Freed said in the news release, in quotes, "Martin Luther King, I think, if he could see Jonestown, would recognize it in the next step in his agenda, and he would say, 1, 2, 3, many more Jonestowns." And then the Sun reporter out in the Bay Area had some more press conference of Mark Lane. He told about Federal Communications hassling them because they wanted a shortwave station for doctors to get medical care to save lives. And now it turns out that on that shortwave they had all kinds of coded messages, and even discussed with Charles Gary the plans to kill 1,200 people down there if necessary. In his press conference, Lane described Jonestown as a model community. The visits there gave him a glimpse of the future. He added that the government of Guyana is particularly pleased at the success of the People's Temple, since it is a model for other Caribbean countries to follow. That was Mark Lane. He described the education of people in Jonestown as more sophisticated and successful than in the United States schools. And these men said there was no sexism, there's no ageism, there's no racism. He said they had education. Then Mark Lane said there's no money in Jonestown. There is no need for it. And of course, what followed, according to Mr. Layton, one of the suspects for killing Congressman Ron, they said there was a footlocker of $3 million cash being taken out in the woods, and then there were millions of dollars in Swiss bank accounts and in Guyana, which would total many, many millions of dollars. And then it turns out these people were crowded in rooms like a slave ship and worked 12-hour shifts and cried for food, and the white staff had meals and regular meals and dinners, and the blacks worked out in the fields. Only 2 people worked in the fields that weren't black, and they were forced to work and grow the food out there. Mark Lane said there's no money in Jonestown and no need for it, and they were taking gold from these people and diamonds, jewelry, and personal objects, and accrued from them and other monies, millions and millions of dollars. He was particularly impressed, Mark Lane, by the quality of medical care in Jonestown, where the community's 1,200 inhabitants are served by 70 health workers. Natives cared free of charge for Indians. Native Indians, he said, and Albert Schweitzer's famous hospital in Africa was compared to what Jim Jones was doing in Jonestown. That's why I want to play the tape for you next week, so you can hear Mark Lane rave about the medical clinic that people came all over the world to see, and the accredited college. I'm particularly quoting Mark Lane to start my series on this because I'm very proud to say that I've hated his guts and tried to expose him for years. And any of you that listen to KGO in the San Francisco area, the all-day talk show goes on all day and night. I've been tape recording people just lambasting Mark Lane and Charles Gary and really out for their guts and outrage at what they did in calming the people and knowing what they knew in advance, what they know now. They're attorneys, and you should hear what my complaints were about Lane. The public has taken over because they now have seen for the first time what he is. As I say, he was impressed by the medical quality of Jonestown. They had 70 health workers serving only 1,200 Native Americans that had been taken down there compared to the Albert Schweitzer. He said he even had a 2.5-hour physical exam during one visit to Jonestown. Those are 3 different press releases that came out just exactly 1 month before this terrible rash of murders took place. In contrast to that, the San Francisco Chronicle has an article, and you'll be seeing a lot more about this subject, Tuesday, November 28th. Robot behavior, Orion murder suspect. Lawrence Layton, the man charged with killing Congressman Leo Ryan, displayed increasingly peculiar behavior even before he left for Guyana last May. Larry, too, seemed a post-hypnotic trance. He was drawn into the People's Temple farther in since he joined in 1968. He came home once to his family in East Bay in a full surgical gown, jumped into the swimming pool. His brother, Tom Lake, 36 years old, wondered if his brother was hypnotized and turned into a robot to take orders. He said he was a robot. The father, Lawrence Lake, said his son was a robot. I called Lawrence Lake this week on the telephone